Hey, welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hopefully we had a wonderful week out there. Personally had a pretty good one. First week of classes in the books. Did some homework yesterday and feeling pretty accomplished. Hopefully all of you are as well. Now, in the weather department, we do have a couple things ongoing out there. Some of the models have been hinting at a bit of a more defined tropical wave that could cause some trouble here in the medium to long run, really probably about 7 to 10 days from now. Also, some severe weather concerns, some even tornado concerns here over the next couple of days through portions of the country. I'll tell you who has that threat and exactly how high it is in today's video. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Gerald. I'm a meteorology major at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, here to give you the latest on that weather forecast and kind of tell you what we're looking at in the near term, the medium term, and the long term. I kind of like to break it all down for you in one video, so we'll definitely do all of that today. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Like the video, comment, let me know where you're watching from. Also, just want to do a little bit of a maybe a public service announcement, we'll call it here at the beginning of the video. Some of the comments over the past couple of days have been a little negative, I guess, to put it like in the nice way, which, I mean, I don't mind. I can take it. I got pretty thick skin, and you kind of have to have pretty thick skin to want to be in this sort of industry, but some folks out there probably don't have as thick a skin, so if you're going to leave comments that are maybe not so positive and just kind of downright mean sometimes, just maybe think before you do it. It takes energy to do that, and that's energy that could be spent doing literally anything else positive in the world, and unfortunately, it's a world that we could really use a lot of positivity in. So again, it doesn't really hurt my feelings. I can take it, but especially on other people's channels, don't watch a video and then just leave a comment. If you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all, I guess is kind of the advice I'd give there. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the weather now, because I don't want to sit on my soapbox all day. But we'll start with the tropics like we have been the past couple of days here, and taking a look at satellite imagery. Again, there's a couple things ongoing out there that we need to discuss. Now, we do still have this leftover kind of frontal boundary here that is sagged across really the state of Florida. Unfortunately, it's been a stormy kind of week for Florida, and that's probably going to continue as this front just hangs on. Still waiting for something to kind of kick it out of here. And on the backside of that front, we did have a little bit of some mid-level low pressure develop here, and that we've been talking about the past couple of days, and all things considered, it doesn't look all that bad this morning. You can pretty clearly see the visible spin here on satellite over the Gulf of Mexico, even seeing some thunderstorm activity uptick with that. The good news, though, is that's going to run into Texas before it ever really has time to bring that vorticity down to the surface and really cause any sort of tropical trouble. So that's the good news there. But another area I'm watching is out here into the main development region of the Atlantic. We had this big explosive wave come off of Africa yesterday, now over the open waters of the Atlantic, and some of our models are hinting at development with this. I said yesterday that we had some of the first kind of more significant ensemble runs overnight or throughout the day yesterday and overnight. It hasn't gotten, it hasn't gotten much better on the ensembles, meaning it hasn't uptick, but it also hasn't fallen off. So we're going to continue to watch that. And the good news about this wave is, again, we have plenty of time to watch this. Should it form, we're probably still about a week away from that happening, and probably a week to 10 days away from any impacts to land. So plenty of time to watch it. We'll keep you up to date here over the next couple of days. Now, other than that, we do have some showers and storms down here into Central America. We'll see if at any point this hurricane season that Central American gyre tries to kind of reform into something and move up towards the Gulf. That happens quite often, especially kind of at the beginning and the end of the season. In fact, we saw that earlier in the year. We had one of those storms kind of do that earlier this hurricane season. So that's kind of what we're looking at on satellite imagery. The good news, though, again, latest from the National Hurricane Center is there's nothing out there of significance to worry about. So that's kind of the good news here. Again, it's been quiet ever since Ernesto, and luckily Ernesto didn't impact too many people. Again, unfortunately, folks in Bermuda got it good, but it didn't hit any major continental areas. So ever since really Debbie, we've been on a lull here in the United States, at least, from any sort of direct impacts from any tropical system. So obviously that's good news. We would like to keep that up, but unfortunately, I feel like by the time the season's over, we're definitely going to have at least a couple more storms that bring some sort of impacts to the United States or the Caribbean or the Antilles or even potentially Canada. We'll see. All right, so latest ensembles. Again, overnight, there wasn't an uptick or really a downtick. I'd say maybe a slight decrease, but even, yesterday's afternoon model runs were better than the night before that. So we're going to see a little bit probably of some back and forth here while the models try to figure out this wave. But the latest European and its ensemble members, again, bring this wave towards the Antilles in about a week to 10 days. So there's, I think, 51 members that make up all the ensembles on the European. And you'll notice here, this is probably maybe 10 members or so not a lot, but yesterday we had more like 20, 25. So it's going to fluctuate a little bit this afternoon. There may be more than this, there may be less. I mean, unfortunately, I can't predict the future that well, although I guess that kind of is my job a little bit to predict the future. But either way, you get the point. We got plenty of time to watch it. So the European, it's showing something for sure. If we take a look at the GFS and its ensemble members, also showing a bit of a signal out here into the Atlantic. Now, the GFS has less members than the European. I think it has 21, give or take a couple, but either way, you get the point. But still definitely a signal out here. Now, it's a little bit less confined on the GFS. So, some members are picking up on a wave down to the south. Some members are picking up on the wave further back out here towards the west on when they develop and how they develop. But nonetheless, we'll continue to watch it. What matters, though, here is that we are seeing an uptick in activity in the time frame that I've been telling you to watch, and the experts have been telling you to watch. Again, kind of the very end of August and start of September is when I think things will pick back up. So really starting late this coming week and into that following week, which will be the start of September, I think is when we'll really see things start to pick up. When I say pick up, I don't mean we're going to have a bunch of storms at once, but we'll at least see our next storm or at least next threat to track in that time frame. And if we take a look at a couple models here, we'll start with the GFS. We move this ahead into time, and again, you'll notice we get some activity here. Now, if I move this really far ahead into time, this isn't even that far. This is about a week from now. We even have something kind of close to home here. So you'll notice the GFS tries to spin up something near Florida about a week from now. Also, if we kind of back this up a little bit and look at the tropics, a little bit more in depth here. Here's the wave that we're watching again over the next couple of days, continuing to slowly work west. This is about Tuesday of this coming week. And you'll notice on the GFS, it struggles to really get its act together completely and close something off, but it tries for sure. And that same general energy moves on, towards some land masses. So we'll watch that. Again, though, the latest GFS does bring, some sort of energy into the Gulf about 7 to 10 days from now. It has that other wave we need to watch. So again, there's a lot of areas to watch, just nothing that specifically is jumping out that says, hey, this wants to develop anytime soon, which again is good news, but we'll continue to watch it. Taking a look at the European model, again, here's our tropical wave right now that we're going to watch through this coming week. It'll slowly move across the main development region of the Atlantic, and the real question will just be, can it get its act together, or will it struggle like the waves before it have? Now, the latest European model also struggles to develop it a little bit, but behind it, there's kind of a different piece of energy down here that in that 7 to 10 day range, again, kind of gets, towards the Antilles. Again, still just an open wave here, not a major storm or anything like that, but important enough that I'll mention it, and we'll continue to watch it. Now, some of our other models, for example, the Icon model, also kind of shows something in this time frame, and I'll just skip ahead. I won't show you all the fancy stuff, but about a week or so from now, the Icon also showing something in the Gulf, probably even a different piece of energy than what the GFS was showing, and then also shows that wave out into the Atlantic. So we'll watch it. Again, the NHC has nothing for the next 7 days. I don't think anything's going to develop in the next 7 days, but I do think as we go through this week, we will have more storms pop up on the models for the medium and long run. So, the quiet period continues. We'll see how much longer it can continue, but I'll tell you, we need to be careful because whenever it decides that it's done being quiet, it could be problematic. The sea surface temperatures here are still very high through much of the Atlantic, especially the Gulf of Mexico, the Southwest Atlantic, and the Caribbean, kind of surrounding the island of Cuba, and then again through much of the Gulf of Mexico and Bahamas. We have bathwater out there. This is in degrees Celsius. Anytime you get to about 26, 27 degrees Celsius especially, things start becoming more favorable for tropical development. Once you get past 30 degrees Celsius, that can really promote almost explosive development and rapid intensification. And you'll notice we got plenty of these 30s showing up here in the Gulf, into the Caribbean as well. So we've been been spared from any kind of big time storm getting in that region so far this year. We had Beryl and Debbie, but they were both tropical storms to Category 1 storms whenever they traveled through that region. But if we can get a more defined system anytime over the next 2 months to get through there, it definitely could become a problem. So we'll hope that doesn't happen, and hopefully, this quiet period hangs on. But again, I've showed this map basically every day in a row. I'll show it to you again, though. Climate Prediction Center is expecting an uptick in tropical activity through this week coming up and into the following week here through that main development region of the Atlantic, and even the week after that, still a big area of possible development. So, again, I'll continue to say what I've been saying. We'll keep an eye on it for you, but right now, things look relatively okay for at least the near term and medium term. Now, long term, we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at satellite imagery here, water vapor loop to be exact here, and again, kind of paints the picture pretty well of what we're seeing out there. We're still dealing with this big trough out west, and it is cold out there. I was watching a little bit of the Nevada football game yesterday as college football kicked off, and everyone was there wearing sweaters and all that, which, granted, Reno is higher elevation for sure, but either way, it is August, so, it's kind of crazy to see that. We've got very below average temperatures out here, kind of 10, 20, even 25 degrees below what they should be this time of year. So the West getting the same treatment that the East got just a couple of days ago. And we'll stay that way for at least a little bit longer. Now, a couple other things I want to note here. Notice this swirl over Nevada. This is going to promote some severe weather over the coming days. This is eventually going to eject up into the plains and create a pretty good area of severe weather potential today, tomorrow, and Monday, or excuse me, today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, rather. I'm still in Saturday mode. And then after that, we're going to get another area of low pressure that's not really showing up on this map yet, but another trough out of Canada is going to also swing through. And I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, once again, we could have severe weather through the northern tier of the country. So it's going to be an interesting little bit. Also in the Northeast, we're going to see severe weather in the near term because notice kind of what's happening here on satellite. Notice how the flow is kind of like this. We're getting some northwest flow through the Northeast, actually, almost that ring of fire effect that we talk about a lot during the summer. It is, kind of shifted a little bit, and we could see some strong storms this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon through that part of the country. Also, again, here's that swirl in the Gulf I talked about. Good news, that's going to run out of time before it ever really can get its act together at the surface, but that'll move on through Texas. Could maybe increase a little bit of rain chances over the next couple of days through the Gulf Coast of Texas, and maybe hopefully beat down some of that heat a little bit with some of that rain. But I guess final thing I'll also note on this map, here's that leftover stationary front and that boundary there off the southeast coastline. So a lot happening on the map for sure. Just a matter of what is actually going to impact people is kind of the bigger question. If we take a look at radar currently, again, just a couple things to note. Here's that swirl over Nevada. If I picked a color, you could see it, that would help. Here's that swirl over Nevada. And again, this is helping to bring a lot of Pacific moisture. We've seen pretty good monsoonal flow the past couple days here through the Four Corners, and that's going to continue this afternoon and through the next couple of days. Again, we've seen good rain chances, but eventually, as this low pressure kind of tracks through the Rockies and gets through the Great Plains, eyeing a pretty good severe weather threat tomorrow especially, and we'll take a look at it more in depth here on the North Central Plains, but we could be looking at a tornado threat, large hail threat, and strong straight line wind threat tomorrow afternoon through some bigger population areas, so we'll definitely look at that. The Northeast, we've got a couple showers moving through this morning. Same thing through the portions of the Great Lakes, a couple showers. Also off the Carolina coastline, that leftover boundary down through Florida as well, it just does not give up, and it is increasing some rain chances out that way. Other than that, though, most of us are quiet for this Sunday, at least for now. This afternoon, things might change a little bit. And if we take a look at watches, warnings, and advisories, again, just blows my mind, but we've got frost advisories out here into Nevada. And like I said, it's chilly out there for sure. That's a big-time trough with some big-time cold air that has worked on through and means business, especially for a kind of August standards. All right, also, it's going to be hot today, so we've got heat advisories and excessive heat warnings through the Midwest, through the central Great Plains, Oklahoma City, all the way northbound through Minneapolis, even back towards Chicago, Milwaukee. Yeah, hot afternoon in store for sure. Through the east, though, again, a relatively quiet day. We're transitioning here east of the Mississippi from that nice fall kind of atmospheric conditions that we had this week to more of a summer-like pattern. So not hot enough yet to warrant any heat advisories or warnings, but it'll get there probably by the time we get through this week. So I'll just go ahead and mention that for you. All right, severe weather chances. So today, again, the main area I'm watching is actually out here in this marginal risk. I think that's going to be the highest chance of severe weather. You'll notice, have a slight risk here through the Dakotas and Minnesota. It's a bit of a conditional threat. Now, the big question will be, will anything form? If it does, we could have a big time straight line wind threat. There's going to be quite an inverted V sounding. And what I mean by that is we've got drier air at the surface combined with very hot temperatures at the surface. And what happens is whenever it starts to rain, it's so dry at the surface compared to the temperature that all that water begins to evaporate, and evaporating air generally likes to sink pretty quickly here, and what happens is it creates that big downburst, and that brings a lot of downward energy, and we get microbursts and macrobursts and straight line winds and all sorts of things. Also a bit of a marginal risk here into parts of Ohio and Michigan. Again, could see a couple stronger storms this afternoon in that area, also relatively conditional. The bigger threat, though, comes tomorrow, and we'll start with the smaller threats. We do have a marginal risk through portions of the Northeast. Again, this is due to some northwest flow that's going to work on through. Strong straight line winds and some hail will be the main threat there. But where we have a bigger threat for severe weather is right here into the heartland and into the north central plains and portions of the Midwest. In fact, an enhanced risk. This is the first enhanced risk we've had, I think, in a couple of weeks, or at least a week, here through parts of the country. And this does include a tornado threat through the Twin Cities, portions of South Dakota, and even western portions of Iowa here. So could definitely see some strong storms tomorrow. We'll do it all again on Tuesday, a big area here to watch through the northern tier of the country. And again, this is just round one. This is one little short wave that's moving on through. We're going to have a bigger, stronger trough work on through later this coming week, and that also could promote some severe weather, and we'll be watching that for you as well. All right, I'm going to kind of breeze on through this part. This is just radar for the next 48 hours and some temperatures, but I'm going to actually dive into the severe weather on its own afterwards. So again, this afternoon, monsoonal flow will be kind of the big storyline here through portions of the Rockies. Again, more of the same. A couple of these storms could become strong to severe. It's going to be cold, maybe even some high elevation snow back west of that towards Nevada and Idaho. Now, again, that continues through the overnight, through the evening. And again, I'll talk about the severe weather threat on its own through the northern Great Plains, so I'm going to kind of skip over that for now. But we get into tomorrow afternoon, more showers and storms through the Rockies. I think maybe a little bit higher chance through New Mexico, Colorado, and even down through Texas tomorrow. You'll notice, also, I will point this out. Here's that spin that I talked about earlier. Watch this kind of down here through Texas, try to work on in and bring some showers. That could definitely help some rain chances there for sure. And luckily, without the problems that you would normally get with tropical storms, with wind and surge. Again, this is really more in the mid-levels than at the surface. So good news there. Where were we? Monday afternoon, again, more of the same. Monsoonal flow continues, but shifts towards the east a little bit. Also some showers up through the Pacific Northwest as well as possible tomorrow afternoon. And again, I'll dive into the severe weather in just a second. I'm not forgetting you, but just kind of want to breeze on through the overall picture here. All right, through the east this afternoon, again, a pretty nice day. Some showers and storms down through the Sunshine State, definitely. Also, just kind of through the Gulf Coast area in general, as a couple pieces of energy are working on through and that stalled frontal boundary. Other than that, though, a pretty nice afternoon. Again, a couple showers could also try to work through the Northeast, specifically New England and the interior Northeast. But other than that, a pretty good Sunday. We get this into Monday, and this is when that severe weather chance upticks a little bit more through the Northeast. You'll notice, look at these showers and storms Monday afternoon with that northwest flow. Again, strong straight line winds and some large hail will be the main threats with that. Very low end tornado threat, but again, we'll call it a non-zero threat, so we'll watch it just in case. That moves on through. But again, straight line winds probably going to be, the main threat there. Also Monday afternoon, this is when that big threat begins up into the north central plains. Again, going to dive into that here in just a second. But outside of those places, just kind of getting hotter out there. It's getting more muggy and becoming a little bit more summer-like. And you can see that in the temperature map here as well. This is this afternoon. Again, it's going to be hot. Hundreds out towards Kansas, 80s and 90s through the east, and still holding on to some nicer weather up into the northeast, 60s in the higher terrains, 70s down into the lower terrains. And then we get this into Monday afternoon here. And again, the heat builds, that heat dome pushes east a little bit. More people getting in on those hot and muggy temperatures, but still relatively nice in the northeast. If there's one place that has gotten really lucky the past week, it's you folks up through New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, interior Pennsylvania there, northern New Jersey. It's been a pretty nice stretch for you folks, but unfortunately, again, I think that heat dome works back in later this week. All right, let's dive into this severe weather threat a little bit more here. And this video is going to go a little bit longer than I planned, but that's all right. Again, we've got some important information to get out here. So tomorrow, again, an enhanced risk. We haven't had an enhanced risk in a while here, at least to my knowledge. It feels like in the spring we had one every day, and then obviously died down a little bit over the summer. But with that ring of fire pattern we had, it did stay pretty active. But today, tomorrow rather, we're back to the enhanced risk life. So again, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and St. Paul here are going to probably see some pretty strong storms. Also, much of eastern South Dakota, northwestern Iowa could see some of these strong storms work on through, and that includes a tornado threat, a 5% chance of a tornado here through southwestern Minnesota, northwestern Iowa, and southeastern South Dakota having the highest chance. But again, anyone in that green area could see a tornado tomorrow afternoon, and it's a threat I'm definitely watching here as this surface low works on through. So we'll start with today just so I don't forget to also refresh this page so it loads a little bit quicker here. So this afternoon, again, a bit of a conditional threat. You'll notice a couple showers try to form here near the surface low, and again, we've got very strong downburst potential this afternoon, so should these form, strong winds will be a concern today and even potentially through this evening. You'll notice some of these storms may try to get up near Minnesota as well through the overnight, could be strong to severe. But the main piece of energy and the bigger problem comes tomorrow afternoon for our Monday. So you'll notice we've got, again, some pretty close isobars here indicating a bit of a front, and also we've got a trough here showing up. So you'll notice these isobars, kind of how they're doing this, they're kinking downwards. We've got this trough axis that's going to swing through tomorrow afternoon, and in front of that, we're going to see a bit of a clash of air masses here. We're going to see that warm Gulf air surging back northward, I'm struggling to talk all of a sudden, combined with some wind shear induced by this trough, and that could cause problems. So Monday afternoon, again, notice storms begin to fire up in that threat area from Wyoming all the way through South Dakota and into Minnesota. Again, some of these storms are going to be strong to severe, and I'm just going to take a sounding here. We'll go into the science just a little bit here. So you'll notice kind of a couple things to note here. We do have a tornado potential for sure. Our shear values are pretty high here from the surface to 3 kilometers up. So not off the charts, but definitely high enough. We could see some tornadoes. Dew point's very high here. Instability is pretty high. I mean, when I say pretty high, I mean, this is pretty high levels of CAPE. You can't see the number, but just to show you, this is about 5,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE at the surface. So pretty explosive atmosphere tomorrow, all things considered. And that's why we have that enhanced risk. And we'll definitely want to watch these storms. Pretty big time hail potential, wind potential, and a tornado potential. So all three tomorrow, those swing on throughout the evening hours and even into the overnight. More of those showers and storms work on through. So it's going to be a threat tomorrow, one we're going to want to watch. And if we look at maximum updraft helicity, or just where are we going to see rotating storms, and when I say rotating storms, it doesn't mean all these storms are going to be tornado producers, but anytime you get a storm that's rotating, that increases the updraft generally, and increases the wind threat, the hail threat, and obviously the tornado threat as well. But you'll notice a pretty good swath here right through the southern half of Minnesota and back through South Dakota, even northern Nebraska, and potentially into northwestern Iowa as well. So, a good severe weather threat tomorrow. I say good, obviously it's not good for the people getting hit by it, but I mean, it's good ingredients for severe weather. That's the best way to word it there. So, we're going to want to watch out for that. Have a way to get watches and warnings. Obviously, you folks in this part of the country are pretty used to severe storms, so this isn't anything that you haven't dealt with before, but it's important enough that I wanted to dive specifically into it for your Sunday. All right, let's take a look at the medium to long range now. So again, here's the trough we're currently dealing with. Here's our piece of energy that's causing that severe weather over Nevada, or at least it's over Nevada right now. It will start to cause that severe weather through the coming days. Again, that swings on through. We'll bring this out to Monday afternoon and overnight Monday into Tuesday. Here's that piece of energy at that point, swinging through the Dakotas and Minnesota, again, bringing some potential severe weather. But look what's behind it. Another trough working through portions of Western Canada here, moving on through the Pacific Northwest, and eventually, again, it's going to be a 1-2 punch here this week. So we'll bring this into, let me move this into Wednesday morning and afternoon, still dealing with a bit of a trough axis here near Minnesota and Wisconsin, kind of hard to see. That, again, that'll bring the severe weather threat on Tuesday, once again, through portions of the Midwest here and potentially even the Northeast. Again, we saw that on the day 3 outlook, but behind it, again, another strong trough works on through, and I think next Thursday and Friday, we're going to see severe weather again through some of these same areas as another very strong area of troughing moves on through. And what happens in the long run will be interesting. The latest European moves us up into Canada by next weekend, but then kind of brings it back down south. And we could see, another shot of cooler, drier air potentially about a week or so from now. Now, a lot of question marks behind this, but it's something we'll want to watch here. And if we take a look at just future radar here, here's that 1-2 punch I was talking about. So this is Monday into Tuesday. And again, you'll notice here's those areas of severe weather with the first punch. Again, you'll notice here's that trough showing up here at 500 millibars. And that's going to allow for some divergence aloft and some storm creation towards the east of it going into early next week. But that moves on through and then eventually even gets into the northeast with some more northwest flow come next Tuesday and Wednesday. And then after that, here comes the bigger storm system. And this one, again, will be stronger. It's just a matter of placement. You'll notice, again, at 500 millibars, we've got a closed off low pressure here. And kind of towards the occluding side at this point. So where the storm peaks, where it's the strongest will mean, a lot for the forecast here, but I do expect more severe storms at some point next week. And then eventually, potentially, we get another cool shot behind it. But we take a look at severe weather ingredients here. This is tomorrow. So again, you'll notice those severe weather ingredients are obviously right over where that enhanced risk was. So we'll watch out for that definitely going into Monday. And then Tuesday afternoon, more of those ingredients come together in kind of some of the same areas. Could see some severe weather Wednesday and Thursday. You'll notice again, potentially some of that leftover severe weather moves into the northeast, but a new area forming behind it with that next area of low pressure. And then that too eventually could work through some of the same areas. And we could see, at least severe weather of some sort every day this coming week through the northern tier of the country. Now, south of there through the southeast, unfortunately, it's just going to be hot and not necessarily a dry heat either. That muggy air is going to come back. Notice dew point values here surging through this week ahead, but potentially, again, should that storm system, the stronger one, work on through south enough, could bring another reinforcing shot of some dry air, and we'll definitely hope for that. But just to show you temperatures here, let me see if I can pull this up. The temperature anomaly, it's going to start to get hot again. Now, as I've said, it's been very cool out west. I mean, these are, some temperatures 30 degrees below what they should be this time of year. But we bring this, all the way ahead. It continues to stay hot in the east. And it's not going to be a very fun week. In fact, if we get this Thursday afternoon, we're talking 10 to 20 degrees above what we should be this time of year. So, if your average high for the last couple of days of August is 85, it could be more like 95 up near 100 in isolated spots. So not very fun for sure. But again, we knew we were going to pay the price for that nicer air we felt this week. And all we can hope for, again, fingers crossed, that next low pressure works on through with a cold front and tries to bring things back closer to normal to start September and to start college football week 1. Again, we had week 0 this weekend, but week 1 still a week out. So alrighty, folks, I appreciate you hanging in there. Again, a lot was discussed today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments. Also, you can like the video and that lets me know you enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy it out there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.